Hello, and welcome to another drug-fueled episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel, and I have lost 155 pounds, and with me is...
Donald Weigel, also fueled by drugs.
The drugs.
I am fueled by the drugs, the crystal meth. I am Donald Weigel, and I have lost, 100 and...
some odd pounds.
pound-ish.
100 pounds.
I don't know. I was down 104 pounds at one point, and now it's like 101.
Donald lost 1 pound 100 times.
100 times.
We're not actually on drugs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just fueled by drugs.
The show is fueled by drugs because we're going to make a fantastic Breaking Bad analogy.
And that's a show about methamphetamines, which I guess, is that the same as PCP?
No, definitely not.
Angel
PCP
dust?
is angel dust. No.
I don't know about drugs.
Crystal meth is sometimes called speed, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't know. I
Your
don't know much
speed
about drugs.
cigarettes and your cocaine pills.
Clearly, I am square and don't know much about drugs.
We do not. Our drug of choice today is brought to you by tea.
Yes.
TEA. We're
Yes.
drinking
I do
warm
know a lot
tea
about,
on a cold day.
I do know a lot about caffeine.
The last time
And by a cold day, we mean it's like 65 degrees.
The last time we did an intro, I was catching on fire. It was so hot, and now I'm chilly.
Oh yeah, I
and
forgot
cozy.
about that. We were complaining about how we had to turn the fans and the air conditioning off to record,
And now all I want is a cozy cup of tea. I just want to serve up. But this is about drugs, not about tea. This is this episode is called Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I promise we're going to bring this around to weight loss at some point.
You're saying to yourself right now, what have I gotten myself into myself? I have
Yeah.
other things to do today.
So far, they've talked about tea and drugs and have not given
and
me
hot
any.
and cold.
Have not given me anything to think about in terms of weight loss. Well, let me tell you, we're
It's
going to
coming.
give you some things. It's coming.
We're turning it up to 11.
So there may be some minor, maybe not so minor, Breaking Bad spoilers coming up.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, stop.
Maybe
3-4
maybe
delightful
like,
seasons.
Yeah. Stop this podcast, go watch it all, and then come back.
And you'll
continue
find out
this
how it
podcast.
relates to weight loss.
Yeah.
So, Donald, why don't you
so-
tell them what Breaking Bad is?
So, Breaking Bad, for those of you who haven't seen it, and those who might need a quick refresher course, is about a high school chemistry teacher, mild-mannered, who
family man,
who at one point in his life was considered a rising superstar in the science field, and helped to co-found a company.
You're going deep on.
Anyway, well, I'm getting to the point eventually.
Even I'm wondering what the point of our podcast is now.
So basically, a science genius who, because of some life choices, ended up as a high school chemistry teacher. And
thank you to all the teachers out there.
He gets a cancer diagnosis, and the diagnosis is not good. I mean, obviously, a cancer diagnosis is not good, but it's really not good in his case. And he realizes he's got no money to leave to his family. And
sorry about that, America. We should pay teachers better.
Decides, as most people would in this situation, that he can use his chemistry knowledge. One of his students is involved in the meth trade, and I guess you melt down.
That is not angel dust.
You basically, the way I understand it is you like put a bunch of cold medicine in a pot on the stove and cook it in some way.
Yeah, this isn't
those details.
Okay, this relates to your weight loss.
Anyway, so the point is, at the beginning, you're kind of like, so he decides to make crystal meth, and as you do. And the point is, as the show goes on, like, it starts from this point of like, well, he's doing a bad thing, but he's doing it for his family. So, okay, I'll go with him. And then as the show goes on, he keeps doing, like, worse and worse things as it goes. But each step of the way with this show, it's like I, as an audience member, he would do something a little bit worse than the last time. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go along with that. And then he would do something even a little bit worse than that. And I'd be like, all right, sure.
And then suddenly you find yourself knee-deep in cocaine
you realize,
and
yes, he's the
guns.
bad guy.
He's the bad that guy.
Suddenly he goes from being like the guy you're rooting for, and so, me as an audience member, I'm like, I'm still rooting for this guy, and he is horrible. He's turned into like the worst person in the world.
And this is where you come in. You are the worst person. I'm looking at you. I'm not talking about our
So what we're trying to say is, as you lose weight, you become the worst person in the world.
And you start dealing and making drugs. No, but the analogy here is sort of and I'll take this back a notch away from the drug trade, and take it back to isn't it like the boiling a frog or something? Like if you put a frog in hot water, it knows
it'll jump out.
Hot.
Yeah, but if you like gently turn up the water while it's in there,
it doesn't know.
Doesn't know. So before you know it, it's boiled alive.
You are a frog teacher who has a chemistry background.
A teacher of frogs in a very cute cartoon.
Yeah. So the point of this, and here we go, here's the point, is that, and I've said this before, that habits, bad habits or good habits, can come from erosion. It's never a big explosion of suddenly you're a person who is fit and trim, and then suddenly overnight you are 300 pounds. It comes from an erosion of habits. And like Donald was saying with the gentle, mild-mannered chemistry teacher, is that with each step, with each day, we erode our habits and we go deeper and darker down a path of destruction and darkness. And it's never, someone posted the other day in one of the groups that in one plan, onions were not friendly to a plan because they had too much sugar in them and that they were avoiding sugar. I'm telling you right now, I didn't get to 300 pounds because of my onion habit.
No, I was not like eating onions as if they were going out of style.
Now, maybe bloomin' onions
bloomin' onion.
Those bad boys are like 1,800 calories.
They have a shocking amount of calories.
I thought you were going to say a swear word. I'm glad you said shocking. But it's not the onion, it's the dip, it's the batter that gets us where we are. And it's not one day of doing it and the oil. It's not the one day of the habits. It's breaking those habits, breaking the good habits day after day, season after season, building up to a crescendo that includes me being 300 pounds and wondering to myself, how did I become 300 pounds? It's not fair.
Yeah, so I think what we're sort of saying is here, you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
That is what we're saying.
It's the kind of thing where you're going along and you're on your plan, whatever your plan is, and you're sticking to it and you're being great, and then something comes along and you're like, what's the big deal? I'll have one bloomin' onion. Like
just one.
I mean, that's not a big deal.
It's basically health food.
It's basically health food.
Basically burns calories itself by eating it.
Yeah,
and like celery.
Burns more calories
a bloomin' celery. You couldn't pay me.
Stick. Yeah.
Ew.
No, that does not sound good.
No.
Although maybe it would make it better. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
If you have made a bloomin' celery, let us know about it in the show comments.
So, this episode brought to you by Bloomin' Celery. So, in other words, you tell yourself just this one time, it's fine. And then before you know it, you're twice you're eating your bloomin' onion or your, whatever it is.
It becomes a daily habit.
And then the next thing you know, you've stopped, all of your good habits. And it's this slow, slippery slope to regaining those bad habits that you once had.
Well, and two, there are habits that one picks up. Like, I know I've talked about it before. When I would go on business trips and I would be at the airport, conveniently, there was a McDonald's at the airport, and I would get all of the McBreakfasts. And it was a habit that I had of, it's just when I go to the airport. When I go to the airport, I have McDonald's. And then it turned into every day before work going to McDonald's. And people would ask me because I would never eat in front of other people. They go, but you don't eat anything. And it's like, because I eat in secret.
Yeah.
And it's that, like, that single event that suddenly becomes a habit.
Well, I'm eating in secret one time. That's not a big deal. I can easily take this off. In one of our wonderful conversations with Kate, she talked about how after she lost her 100 pounds, and she gained 5 or 10 back, and she told herself, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I can easily take that back off." And then before she knew it, she'd put on another few and another few. And
well, and it's never that. And I've done it too. It's like, well,
I've been there for sure.
It's not a big deal. And, we say in one breath, having an extravagant meal isn't a big deal. And it's not, but it's what happens the episode after that matters.
Yeah, and I think this is all about mindset and teaching yourself that you need to form habits that are going to be sustainable for the rest of your life. We've got an entire episode called "There Is No Finish Line," and it's true. And I'm going to keep saying it and over and over because I'm trying to also drill it into my own head. There isn't a point at which I can stop this. There isn't a point at which I can allow one indulgence to become 2, to become 7, to become all the indulgences.
Well, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but you have lost weight a few times in the past, and you've talked about that on one of our episodes, the Donahuing.
Yeah.
And what has happened in the past for you? Because you've been really fit, and you've said, like, this is it, and I'm never going back. Like, do you even remember the bad habits that you?
Yeah, and I think each time it's been exactly what we're talking about here. I get to a point.
So you basically wrote Broken Bad. Breaking Bad.
Broken Bad. Yes, my version was called Broken Bad.
Where you lose all your money.
Yeah.
by getting takeout.
All of my money by eating Chinese food. I'm just repeating your joke. And I think I got to a point, and I was like, I am invincible now. I can do whatever I want. Obviously, I've lost this weight. I'm not the same person I was before, and I can eat what I would like now. And so I'm going to eat this one thing. Or, and it wasn't just like a one-time revelation. It's a slow step-by-step. You take one step forward down the dark path, so to speak. And, I'm like, oh, I can eat this, and then, I can eat that. And I don't have to, do my exercise all the time. I can cut back and still be fine. I'm here. I've made it. And before I knew it, I was up, and I was up 10, 20 pounds. And then I just decided to give up at that point. Like, well, I guess, that's over. I'm just going to eat what I want now. And
I too would, I would purposely stop getting on the scale when I knew I had an indulgent weekend, and I would, say we would go to a birthday party or something like that, and I would way overeat, and then I wouldn't get on the scale because I didn't want to face the music of the weekend, and then that would turn into eroding habits that week, and then I would skip the scale again, and then I would find myself 6 months later avoiding the scale. And magically, my clothes would shrink in the wash at the same time as I would avoid my habits. And then I would buy bigger sizes because, the clothes are obviously shrinking and we need a new washing machine.
Yeah, the washing machine is clearly faulty. It's shrinking the clothes.
And, and then people say, like, oh, no, you look good. That high-pitched,
yeah, no.
Yeah, I never see you eat anything. But it's that avoiding, the hiding, I'm doing everything right, and then really examining it and realizing that you are Breaking Bad.
Yes, eventually you are
a hot frog.
You are the drug kingpin of weight loss. Or weight gain.
We haven't fleshed this out, people. I don't like writing things down or coming up with, I'm not like writing scripts and plot lines and like big reveals at the end and thrillers. But I will say that we are fantastic, even now, at those little habits that slip. And what starts out, Donald said that he doesn't track baby carrots. He is a rebel. He plays by his own rules. And it never occurred to me to not track carrots. Guess what I started doing? not tracking carrots, and I do it with relish. Not actual dill relish, but with
it's
flair.
It's fun to do bad things.
It's fun to do bad things.
Like not tracking baby
carrots.
Not
tracking baby carrots. And it starts with a baby carrot, and then the baby carrot turns into a Cheez-It, and then the Cheez-It turns into a cheesecake, and then suddenly, it goes from just one untracked thing to untracked weeks. And so I think
you're kind of accusing me of talking out of both sides of my mouth right now, because I'm saying,
your untracked carrot full mouth.
That my untracked carrots are going to be my downfall at some point. You're saying here.
But I think it's that being aware, like, it's okay if I don't track a tomato or I don't track a carrot, but once we get sloppy and stop tracking other things, that's when the danger comes in. So it's if you're corralled into I don't have to track a carrot, that's fine. But if suddenly you don't have to track a blooming onion, then that's an issue.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that has been a revelation to me is that it's so easy when you're trying to lose weight or maintain fitness to lie to yourself. Like, there's no one that's easier to lie to than yourself. And if, I've caught myself all the time saying to myself, oh, well, I don't need to track this one thing. It doesn't count. And it does count. It your body still takes in the calories and still reacts to it. Whether you decide or not that it counts doesn't matter. The reality is that it still affects you the same way.
And there are people too who, and I don't call indulgences cheat days, because the only person that cheats on food is the Hamburglar. So, not saying like, ooh, I'm having a cheat day and I'm not going to track my calories because I don't want it to show up, as a red mark on my Fitbit tracker or something like that. Like Donald said, it still counts. And the more you can measure and track those days that you don't count, because we had Flag Day, which is a big celebration. That is a good reason to have a bloomin' onion.
Yeah.
And then today happens to be Father's Day.
Father's Day. We're dating our podcast because this won't probably post till July. But
probably not. But then there's 4th of July, and then are there more flags? More Flag Days?
Yes.
There's Canadian Bank Holiday. So there are all these little reasons. I know for like Mother's Day, it turned into Mother's Day week of bad eating and going out and events and stuff like that. And it's those, like, time and time again, the more liberties you give yourself. Yes, you have to live your life and enjoy yourself, but not every Flag Day is reason to break out a sleeve of Oreos.
Yeah, because it's Father's Day, I'm going to indulge a little bit for lunch today, and I know I'm going to do it. I've planned it. I'm going to track it. It's part of my day, but I also know that, come Monday, I'm going to get right back on it, and it's the mindset of, going in with my eyes wide open and not telling myself like, oh, I can do this today. You know what? And I can do it again on Tuesday, and I can do it Thursday. And then before I know it, it's every day again. I have to be aware constantly that this is a lifelong struggle that I'm going through, and that even though I have had some success with losing weight, it could go away at any time, and I need to constantly be vigilant about it.
Well, and I think that's what's really changed about this time, losing weight, because I've lost a significant amount of weight a few times before and always thought I was fixed, and I am not at all fixed. And the more I say that, I don't know if it frustrates people because they're like, no, you've got it all. You have a podcast. Like, you're living the dream. And
yes, the glamorous podcast life we're living.
Yes. But I now know that I'm going to have to monitor this. And maybe there will be a point in 5 years, 10 years from now when it seems effortless. And it does not seem effortless now. It is a constant vigilance that both of us have to take on. And right now, I feel great. Like, I have been on track for a few weeks. I feel very motivated. I feel on task. And there is a bit of trepidation that comes along with Flag Day or Father's Day, the two F days, Friendship Day.
3 F days. But
I am going into lunch this afternoon with a purpose and a plan, and I need to stay mindful in that, because it is very easy for me to suddenly, say, screw it, have another F day, and just say, screw it. And
this is bordering on very adult language right now. It
is. But it's easy to make an excuse and to say, why not? Like, just a little bit more. Let's enjoy it. We also have a wedding coming up next weekend. We have some out of town things going on. So there's always going to be another chance for a treat, and it's not, it's not like everything has to happen all at once.
Yeah, I do not need to eat today like it's my last meal.
Yeah.
There's going to be more opportunities to have treats, and there have to be more opportunities for me to avoid treats too, and to stick to my plan and continue down this path.
Well, and also this morning, there was some stressful news that I heard about, and I actually I used to be an emotional eater, and for about 45 minutes, all I wanted to do was eat. And it had nothing to do with the circumstance. It wasn't going to change anything. But I got really upset, and I had to kind of check it, because my old self would have wanted to self-soothe with food.
Yeah, and people use that sort of drama to as an excuse to cancel a good habit all the time.
Yeah, and so I had to really check myself and step back from it and not indulge that coping mechanism, because that's what it was. And I'm glad that I got through it, and now I'm enjoying some hot tea. Brought to you by Hot Tea.
Delicious hot tea. And look, before we get too far down this dark path, I want you to know that you can actually turn this to your advantage.
Break bad the other way.
Break bad the other way. Would it be breaking good?
Breaking good.
Breaking good. And it's essentially how I approach...
It's a riches to rags and rags to riches story.
It's essentially how I approached, and I don't want to speak for Catherine, but it's basically how I approached my weight loss adventure this time, and why I think it's worked and it's sticking, and why I've managed to keep the weight off for as long as I have so far, is that when I initially got my diabetes diagnosis, I was devastated. I just thought I was immediately going to have no fun for the rest of my life. I was going to have to, start working out 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, and that my life was over. And Catherine said to me, you know what, why don't you just take a walk?
It's not going to do anything. I should just have a stock person that says, like a little button that says, it doesn't even matter.
But, the point here is that it can seem overwhelming. It can seem like you have to turn into your ideal self overnight in order to maintain the weight that you want to get to, or to achieve the weight that you want to get to. We'll edit that out in post. And you don't. You can do what you can do. And just because you can't do everything that you want to do doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. You should do something. Do what you can do within the framework of your life. You have to learn to live your life, and in the context of losing weight and maintaining weight loss. And so, I started at a point where I just counted my calories and figured out where I was. And then I decided, why don't I try and eat 100 less calories a day and see if I can do that for a while. And then eventually it was 200. And then I started seeing some success at that. And I gently added more and more movement. It's almost entirely just walking. That's almost the only exercise I do. I added a little bit of strength training after I was already down about 80 pounds.
But I would like to remind you of when I suggested strength training, because I said to you something like, hey, why don't you just start with like 5 push-ups? And you said something like, it's not even going to do anything.
5 push-ups, what's that going to do?
Oh, I like yours better. Yeah. But it's that, like, what difference is it going to make? And you can say that in the positive or in the negative. And it all really does add up. I mean, I've been tracking calories for 2.5 years. I'm at goal, but I still need to do that because it is so easy for me. The margin that it takes for me to gain weight, lose weight, or maintain weight is actually very small. And I get to eat a lot of calories still at the weight that I am right now. And I know other people who are, on basically starvation diets, and it hurts my heart to know that they had to go to that desperate length to lose. But I've lost slowly and in a very boring, non-montagey way. No one, it's not going to excite anyone to see what I've done because there's no HIIT workouts, there's no medicine ball kicking.
Yeah.
You kick medicine balls?
I probably.
If you know about medicine balls, let us know out there.
Yeah, I don't know, kicking or punching or something.
And if you're at a phase where you want to take on big, exciting cardio classes or HIIT training and it makes you feel good, do it. That's awesome. But if you're not, it's okay to start where you are.
Yeah, and, it's just, I just walk. Like, I get more steps. I go out of my way to, I'm in a 3-story building at work. I walk upstairs to the 3rd floor to go to the bathroom. And, it's just little things like that to get extra steps. I take the long way to the kitchen. I park extra far away on purpose, and it all adds up.
Well, and what I love about that, you can go back and listen to episode 4, the STEPisode.
The STEPisode, yeah, how to get more steps.
But I think that I am a multitasker, and if I have to go to the gym, I feel like I think about all the things I could be doing that I'm not doing.
Right.
Like if I'm at the gym, I'm like, oh, I should be cleaning, I should be doing that, I should be that. But if you just add movement into your normal course of day, you're getting things done. You're multitasking.
Yeah, if you want to become a marathon runner and that is something that you enjoy, then that is fantastic.
Bless you.
But that is not me, and I many times during my life I got gym memberships and I would go and try and be hardcore, and then it always failed me because I hated it. I hated every second of it and I didn't want to do it. But this time I've gently added something to my life that I like, which is getting more steps. And, my Fitbit gamifies it for me, and I think of it as collecting them and, trying to hit this step goal every day. And it's really worked for me, and it's been something that I can do forever. And, for people who are couples out there, walking together has been a really nice bonus for Catherine and I. We get up early mornings a lot of times, which I know a lot of people are going, early mornings, but it's the favorite part of my day. We get to talk and
because I'm delightful.
Yes.
All the time.
And reconnect. And it's been this nice sort of bonus to doing this. So it doesn't have to be all about, personal trainers and running and things that I personally didn't enjoy.
But bringing it back to sort of the erosion and the addition of good habits, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you are somewhere in your journey. You have taken some sort of at least active interest in your health. And getting to a point where you are really honest, like Donald said at the beginning, really looking at your habits. I see people who superficially say, I'm trying everything. But if you look at the whole week, if you look at the month and really look at, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating any vegetables? Are you secret eating? Are you not tracking the Friday donuts or bagels at work? There are all these little opportunities every day to make helpful choices and unhelpful choices. And the more we yada, yada, yada over the bad stuff, the more we wonder how we get to 300 pounds. And I know because I got there. I was going to school full-time and I was working full-time. And I was eating lunch out every day. And I was going to school on weekends and eating, Pop-Tarts and drinking Coca-Cola because I was tired and overwhelmed and wanted, I felt like it was making me feel better. It, in the moment, tasted delicious, but it was killing me. And, you don't, when the water comes up slowly to a boil because you are a frog.
Yes.
Our amphibian folk out there, it happened so slowly and so imperceptibly over a couple of years. Like, a lot of pictures have been coming up in our news feed of, events from 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And I can barely recognize the person that I was back then, and the indulgences that I allowed myself, and the excuses that I made, and the opportunities that I found to eat. And sometimes I don't feel like at this weight that we're different until I look back at our old selves and go like, oh yeah, we used to eat all the food all the time.
And it feels now in hindsight like we made excuses to go out of our way to gain weight.
But it was not a shock. And I'm sure that there are, we're speaking to our experience and our age bracket and our lifestyle, but we really didn't care for ourselves, and we lived in the moment, for the food, and we still think about food all the live long day.
Constantly. But, I think that it was these gentle, tiny baby steps, like, along the way that got us to the point where we are now. And I swear to you, if we can do it, anybody can. It is achievable and attainable, and it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be 100% painful. It is going to be work, but it doesn't have to be the worst thing ever.
Well, and two, it gets to a point, and I know some people struggle with losing weight, and right now for me, because, I'm sort of maintaining, and I think Donald is too, it's about living in a way that makes me feel good, living in a way where I don't have acid reflux after eating, or I don't have to take a 3-hour nap after 2 indulgent meals in a day to save up and then get, takeout later on. We were not living in a way that respected our bodies at all and our health. And I played a victim to my job, to my life, to my overwhelm, whatever. And now I feel like I'm a different person. And I've said this before, our lives are basically the same. We have the same jobs, the same stresses, but the way we react to them are totally different. And it doesn't happen overnight. And that mindset, I used to think that positive people were liars somehow, or they didn't have it as bad as me. And I've said this before, but no one's going to win an award for the most put upon life. And you have to start fighting for yourself hardcore, because this isn't, we're not in our 20s anymore. This isn't just getting fit for a wedding or, a reunion. We're fighting for our lives at this point. I mean, when Don got that diagnosis of diabetes, I don't want to be a widow. I don't want to, prematurely have to, care for him in a way he could have cared for himself. So I'm very proud of you.
Because she's lazy.
Because I'm lazy and selfish, and people think I'm nice, and I'm not. I don't want the hassle.
No, that's not why.
No, but it is so important to be healthy for the sake of health. And whether the scale is moving or not, if you are living in a way that is being respectful of your body, and
that was a little inside joke.
But if drink the water, move around a little bit each day, eat some food that is healthy and clean, eat some treats also, find some balance, look to others who are eating mindfully. What do their habits look like? How can you emulate someone like me or Donald? What could you add?
Someone who's super inspiring, like we are.
How can you unbreak some bad in your life?
Yeah. What is a gentle habit that you can, what is something you can continue to do that is positive? What is a habit you can take on that won't kill you? That is a step in the right direction.
And if you haven't seen the show Breaking Bad, and you are daunted at the idea of watching 5 seasons, think of your life as 5 seasons. What were you doing 5 years ago? What excuses were you giving yourself 5 years ago that you're still giving yourself now?
And maybe you get Breaking Bad and a rebounder, and you do a rebounder while you watch it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So many good ideas. We have so many good ideas.
Yeah.
But look at your life 5 years ago. Have you made progress? Are you proud of where you are right now? Where would you like to be in 5 years from now? What can you start doing now to start honoring the person that you're going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 5 years, Donald?
Hopefully sitting on a couch next to you, drinking some good tea.
Oh, that sounds delightful. Yeah. We're living the dream, everybody.
Living the dream.
Eating fruit and drinking tea. Just, we are inspiring worlds. So, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we really do truly appreciate your time. And if you've gotten something out of this, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That would be very helpful. It's Father's
Day. Give him a good review, people.
You can find us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. You can
tweet at us on the Twitters.
We
are not on MySpace, so don't look for us there.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Don't
good.
do it. We don't have AOL accounts.
We have a website. We only do. LookThin.com, and you can even email us at weonlylookThin@gmail.com.
Yep.
If you would like.
And if you are a frog near water, in water, hot water, cold water, think about what you can do to make positive changes. And if you can't think of any positive changes, just remember, as you are sitting in hot water, that Donald and I are an inspiration. Asian.
Don't do meth. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.